Perfect. So, hello everyone. My name is Zavia Kitherian, and today I want to share my experience with mental health. To be honest, it's a journey that had started from a young age and has shaped me into who I am today. So, when I was young, my family went through a sudden upheaval where I was forced to move from a home that I grew up in, my childhood friends, and everything familiar, and I was shifted to a new environment, a new school, a new home. And so everything was just very scary and daunting. And at school, I found it incredibly hard to build friendships. I felt isolated, and that sense of loneliness extended to our new apartment complex where I also had no friends. So in those early years, I was desperate to fit in. I lied in about like things, just hoping somebody would find an interest and would want to be my friend. And initially this worked, but eventually the lies caught up to me and I ended up isolating myself even more. And my family was going through a tough time also, so I really felt like I couldn't share my burdens with them. And so I bottled everything up and put the facade of a positive and energetic girl. As the years went by, this inner turmoil didn't really fade. So when I was in college, social media became a constant reminder of my old friends who seemed to have their lives figured out. They were finding love, achieving dreams, and living what seemed to be like the perfect life. Even my younger siblings seemed to have their lives mapped out. Meanwhile, I was struggling with my self image and was overwhelmed with the feeling of worthlessness. I felt trapped in a cycle of suicidal thoughts and self harm, and anything that I could do to keep the depressive thoughts at bay. I never really saw therapy as a viable option because I knew my parents would kind of see it as a reflection of their parenting. And as I got older, I convinced myself that since I had managed so long without therapy, I could just continue to do so and everything is going to be all right. In my final year of college, something shifted. I reached a point where I was exhausted of keeping everything in, and this had been close to almost like 10 years. And by then, I had made good friends and really wanted to reach out to them, hoping that I would find some closure by sharing my feelings. However, I was also scared. These emotions and feelings I have bottled up for over a decade, and now they were a significant part of me. And so I worried that if I resolved these feelings of pain and sadness, I would feel empty, like a major part of me was gone. And this inner conflict consumed me. And during this time is when I realized the facade that I had been wearing for so long had started to fade. One day when I was in this state and I was going home in the bus, a friend reached out and he asked me if I was okay. Initially, I brushed it off, saying that I'm just tired, but he persisted and encouraged me to open up. Hesitant at first, I eventually told him the thoughts that I had been having for the past couple of days, and I ended up rambling for like a good 30 minutes. And when it all got over, I was so embarrassed by the fact that I showed such a vulnerable side of me. And I kind of looked at him expecting him to like laugh it off and just probably make light of it. But instead, he listened attentively and he comforted me, which is very surprising at the time. And I don't remember his exact words, but the overall feeling was that everything will be okay. And since then, he continued to check up just to make sure I was doing all right. But then as life, I guess, moved and, time went on, I realized that he was also facing his own issues and he didn't have the time or like the right mind space to listen to the problems that I had. So, which is completely understandable because everyone needs time to like figure things out. But then as a result, I stopped reaching out to him because I didn't want to burden him with my thoughts. We still do check up on each other like occasionally, but it's not the same as it was before. So at this point, I had just completed my bachelor's and I was planning to like take a gap year. And so during the first months, it was miserable because my parents were pressurizing me about like what I was trying to do with my life. And this served as a constant reminder that while my peers were working and, pursuing their master's degree, I was kind of just stuck. And so occasionally, because I had no other place to go, I couldn't run away from home. I reached out to like my friend group. And one day, a friend reached out telling me that she shared the same experiences that I was going through. Although we were in the same friend circle for like almost 4 years, we weren't that close as we were with the others. However, that night was like the start of a relationship that we never knew and never expected. We opened up about our problems and realized how similar our struggles were. We both dealt with body dysmorphia, feeling that our bodies just weren't proportioned right. We had to force smiles in public and make it seem like our family is completely perfect and there's no problem. We endured sleepless nights of crying and feared judgment from our family for not being where we were supposed to be in our lives. Somehow, this friendship of mine unknowingly became a lifeline. We became the best of friends, sharing our worries, joys, and sorrows. We updated each other on every small emotion that we felt, supporting each other through the highs and lows. I realized that all I ever needed in my life was just someone who could understand and listen to what I had to say. I have recently begun my healing journey, and I'm glad that I have found someone who can join me with this. In addition to finding a supportive friend, I have also started slowly taking up my old hobbies, whether, rediscovering activities I used to enjoy is incredibly nostalgic and therapeutic. Whether it's painting, reading, or simply taking a walk in nature, these hobbies have helped me reconnect with myself and find joys in the small things. If there's one thing I hope you can take away from this is that you are truly never alone. While professional help is important, sometimes the support of a friend who genuinely understands you can be just as crucial. The strength to keep going just comes from the most unexpected places and people. Reach out, connect, and don't be afraid to share your story. You never know who might be going through the same thing and how much you might help each other out. Before I wrap up, I want to offer my support. If you ever need someone to talk to or just someone to listen, feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram. You can remain completely anonymous and share as much or as little as you're comfortable with. While I might not have the perfect advice, I promise to listen to you without judgment. Thank you for listening to my story.